Marhaba, and welcome to the Matrix Green Pill, where real people connect.
Hello and welcome back to the Matrix Green Pill podcast. I'm Hilmarie Hutchison and I'm excited to have Gulshan Kavarana as my guest on the show today. Gulshan is an artist, mentor, and creative coach for people of determination, and with her positive spirit has been a rock and guiding beacon of light for them. She started Special Family Support Group in 1999 from a recognition that it's not only the children with special needs who need guidance and support, but also their families. She has dedicated her life to speaking for and defending the rights of the vulnerable. Welcome, Gulshan, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on this platform, and it's truly an honor. Thank you.
So, as a start, can you please tell our audience a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here in the UAE?
So, I was pregnant with my second daughter. I am married to a marine engineer. So, my husband used to be on the ship, and it was really a struggle. I had an older daughter, Janai. We had to be separated as a family constantly. So I begged him to get a shore job where we could all be together. And he applied to Dubai Dry Docks and we landed up in Dubai. And I was pregnant with my second child. I was 33 years old. I kept feeling that this pregnancy, maybe I am carrying a child with special needs. I wasn't sure, but I kept having this constant feeling. And then one day I just said, I'm not very religious, but when you are in a situation, you do reach out. So I did. And I said, okay, give me a sick child and I'll take care of the sick child. But then as the time came closer to my delivery, I panicked and I said, okay, I'm not ready for a sick child. I don't want a child with special needs. I will work with people with disabilities for the rest of my life if you give me a normal child. And Zara came into our lives on the 5th of May in 1997. Beautiful baby. She reminded me exactly like my older daughter. Our family was complete. It was the happiest time of our lives. I felt at that moment that I had everything. I was just blessed with everything. And then 4 months later, when I gave Zara the routine vaccine, she reacted to the vaccine with a seizure 16 hours after the first or the second dose of a DPT. And our lives turned overnight. At that time, it felt like the worst thing ever. But now looking back, Zara has got me to know myself better. I think it's because of her in my life that I do so much constantly. So I've been working with people with disabilities for the last 25 years. And even before that, I was lucky that I had a school which had a special needs school attached to it. And we were allowed to go there and hang out with them. And then the college that I went to had a special needs vocational center. I was hanging out again with them. So I think they've always been a part of my life.
Was this before Zara was born or after Zara was born?
So I had in my school days, I had a special needs school attached to my school. In my college, we had a vocational center. I hung out a lot with people with disabilities and I love being around them. So when I came to Dubai, immediately started volunteering in a school for special needs. Never ever imagined that my own child would be admitted there one day.
Wow, that's incredible. So what was the support like for you back then when you had Zara?
So when I had Zara, we were a nuclear family. We came from living with my in-laws in a joint family in India. And I had tremendous support with my mother, my sister, my in-laws, my sister-in-law. They were all around us and I had loads of friends. But when we moved to Dubai, I didn't know anybody. We didn't have any friends. We didn't have any kind of support. It was a big struggle to come to terms with the whole situation. It was a struggle and also a bit easier because I didn't have too many people advising me, do this, do that. What you're doing is wrong. I was left to find my way. I mean, it has pros and cons. But there wasn't any support.
But it is difficult coming to a new country without your normal network, your normal family that would support you in your home country. The UAE is outstanding, though, in the support that it does offer to people of determination. What changes have you seen in the last 20 years?
I couldn't agree more with this. I have traveled with Zara to New York. We have traveled with her. We've taken her to other countries. But kind of support that you get in the UAE is tremendous. If Zara is using a wheelchair, so if I go to a place and there aren't any ramps and I call up RTA and I say, there are no ramps here, the very next day they will call and they will ask me, so where do you want this ramp to be put? And they do it. I requested them that we need a disabled toilet separate from the ladies and from the gents toilet. They did that at the airport. So they do listen to us. They do make a difference in our lives. I'm so honored that UAE has given me the golden visa. So I can be here for 10 years and I'm ecstatic. It's really the best thing.
That is incredible. Having had such a personal journey with Zara, what are some of the common misconceptions about people with determination?
So the biggest misconception people have is if you're different, you're slow and you're to be helped and you're to be looked down upon. These things really have to change because people of determination, the word determination, that is who they are. They are so determined to make a difference, in your life. And they do. The meaning of resilience, I think, has come from people of determination because they just don't give up. They have struggles in their lives. They don't complain. You'll never see them complain about anything. It's we who go on talking about things and not satisfied with the way we look and the way our hair has turned out. But they don't care about that. They see you, they see your soul. I wouldn't change my life. I would, till the day I die, I'm going to be surrounded by people with special needs. I love them.
For somebody who's not used to being in the company of people with determination and they may be a bit nervous of saying the wrong thing or of approaching it wrong, what tips would you give them?
I've been a teacher with people, with adults with disabilities, and I never looked at them any differently. I just treat them the same way, I treat everybody else. It's no different. When you just accept them for who they are and you respect them, they have so much love, they have so much patience.
Can you tell us about Special Family Support Group? Something that you founded. What is it that inspired you? When did you found it?
Yeah, so when, Zara used to have 10 and 15 seizures in a day, and I was really, really struggling. And my escapism was going to the Center for Special Needs. I would go there for an hour. I needed that to just get out of the house and do something. I'm a creative person. I studied art. So I used to be in the art room. That's where I used to feel like, okay, I've done something different for an hour and then I go back to my life. So
what inspired you to start Special Family Support Group?
So the teacher there, she used to look at me and said, you might slip into a depression, you're grieving. Why don't you join a support group? So I did look around, this is before internet and before we had the yellow pages. I looked for support groups. I couldn't find anything. So I went back and I told her I can't find anything. She said, if you can't find one, start one. And I said, look at me. I don't have the time. I don't have, all the excuses were coming up. And she said, no, you make the time. You should start. I got together with a psychologist called Aisha Saeed. She had started a support group in one of the other schools, but when she left the school, it shut down. So she said, why don't we start it together? So we started SFS together in my living room with 6 families. And then it just grew and grew and it went into other countries. And of course, SFS right now is the largest support group, is the longest running support group. There are no funds involved. There's no money involved. Nobody pays anything. Everything is free of charge. We are so grateful to the community here in UAE. People just come forward and they say, I have 5,000 dirhams, which I was going to spend on my birthday. A lot of times this has happened. But I would rather give it to you and then you organize a party. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. You will organize it. We will just show up. So we just hang out with the family who wants to celebrate the birthday or any event. And, we meet once a month. In the summer, when it's really hot and a lot of our families cannot afford to go back to their home countries. So they just stay on in UAE. So we, again, rely on the goodness of the community. We get Atlantis passes, we get Wildwadi passes, we can go to the Yas Island, you go to the Dream Park. Every place gives it to us for free. And the whole family. It's not only the child that gets entertained, it's the siblings, it's the dad. A lot of the families take off at that time. They take their yearly vacation, but they stay in Dubai and then they hang out with us.
I love the advice that you were given. When you can't find a solution, then be the solution, create a solution. That's absolutely beautiful. So you mentioned that SFS is today one of the largest organizations of this kind. So where exactly does SFS operate?
So SFS has no office space. It's not a registered group. We are just families meeting and hanging out. Sometimes when a DJ is willing to come on the 13th, on the next Saturday, next Sunday, we have a DJ who's willing to give us his time. So he's going to come with his equipment, play music. We've got a choreographer who's coming in, who's going to get everyone to dance. And for 3-4 hours, we just have fun. Somebody's organizing the food. We just enjoy. The families who are struggling will talk to the older, if they have a child who's 7 years old with autism and they're struggling with coming to terms with it. I will get the older family, the family that has older children, to talk to this younger family and then advise them on how did they cope with it. And that's the kind of support we give. My phone is never switched off except right now. It's always on. People just call me at any given time. I've had suicide calls from a mother who said, "This is it. I can't take it anymore." Yeah, I'm not trained now. I am. I did a course to be a first responder. But when I had got that call, I wasn't trained. And she said, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to throw her first and I'm going to jump behind her. I sat with her for hours and hours and hours.
And just to have you there to talk to, just somebody to listen, is the support that she needed. So it's a fantastic support that you do offer to families. And as you say, to those that are new to the struggle, that maybe haven't learned to cope with it yet, to have that support of others who can walk them through it and help them to navigate in the beginning is so valuable.
I had someone like that in my life. I had this fantastic lady called Sandhya. Unfortunately, she passed away. She left behind 2 grown-up children with cerebral palsy. She had twins. I mean, I owe so much to her because it was her who told me that you're grieving, you're in anger now. Now you're in self-pity. Now you are in this stage and that stage. And I said, but when will all this end? She said, when you accept your child. So she guided me through every stage. So I came to acceptance really early because I had someone like her. So I want to be that someone for someone else. When they thank me, I said, no, don't thank me because it's a circle. Someone was there for me. I'm there for you. You be there for someone else. So we have to do that for one another. And I've seen when you empower the mom, the whole family dynamics changes because the mom feels, yes, I can handle the situation. The husband follows suit and the children, for the siblings, everybody changes when the mom accepts.
There's no doubt you are making a difference in the lives of people. Absolutely. Now, I know that you use art when you work with people of determination. What role does art play and why is art so beneficial?
For the last 10 years, I worked at an art studio called Mawai from Beautiful People. And I had 27 students under me, all adults with special needs, people of determination. I still struggle with saying that. It was through art that we were teaching them life skills. I studied art. I'm not a psychologist. I didn't do any behavior therapy. I haven't done any work to work with adults with special needs. But I did have an art background. And so I used that to address all the issues that came up. And there was this young man, his name is Alex, and he was on the spectrum and he had severe OCD. And every single time a little drop of paint went on his finger, he'd go and wash it till it would bleed. And I kept telling him, Alex, don't do that because one day I'm going to take your hand and put it in a tin of paint. And he said, no, you'd never do that. I said, yes, I'm going to do that. And I did. Apparently in psychology, it's called flooding. He stopped because I said, okay, the whole hand has gone in. You've got paint all over, but it's going to come off. We're going to wash it off. And so he realized that paint, it just comes. He doesn't need to keep washing it. And he stopped. His OCD stopped. I've experienced such wonderful. There was this young girl who had lost her mother and she was grieving. She didn't know about the 7 stages of grieving. She's also on the spectrum. She was blaming her dad. She had no idea what had happened and why she wasn't around when her mother passed away. So I made her understand the 7 stages of grieving and I made her draw that. That was the first time she went home and she allowed her dad to hug her after her mother had passed away. That was 3 years later. And he called me and he said, you just gave me back my daughter. This was all done through art.
Wow. So through art, she could understand the process herself.
Yeah. A blank canvas is like life. If I just give you a blank canvas and I tell you, okay, go create something, what's the first thing you need to do? For the first thing is you need to make a plan. Then you execute that plan. What are the colors you're going to use? What are you going to? So it was just teaching them everything about life through art. And the best thing is that there are no mistakes in art. And if you feel you made a mistake, it's fine. You just paint over it and you start again. So that's what we did.
That's the lovely thing with art, right? There's no right or wrong answers. It's whatever feels right to that person, or as we say, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? That's lovely.
When you start believing in them, they start believing in themselves. And I said, don't do the art for me. It's don't have to please me because who am I? Yeah, I teach art. It doesn't mean that I know everything about art. Nobody does. Don't do it for me. Just create it for yourself. Nobody's grading you here. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't sell, we paint over it. It's fine. Honestly, I learned that from them. They have no inhibitions. They just create art for themselves. And that's beautiful because they paint from the soul, honestly. They're so pure and they just create from inside. And that's what comes out on the canvas.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, I know that recently, in the last couple of years, you've sort of changed your role and your focus a little bit. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? You've gone more into the mentoring side of things.
So Mawab closed down because of the pandemic, like many other businesses, it shut down. And I was working, Abdullah and Asma are cousins, and Abdullah and Asma are both on the spectrum. Now, Abdullah was at Mawahib and then he wanted to start off on his own. So the family approached me and said, would you like to mentor him? Continue doing that. So that's what I do now. He is a remarkable young man. He's doing so well. And Asma, she came to me to Mawahib when this is about 4 years back. She had stopped speaking for 6 years and she came with her sister and her sister said, this is Asma. She was telling me everything about Asma and I said, but I need Asma to talk. So she said, but she doesn't talk. So I said, then I can't admit you here if you're nonverbal. I said, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Just tell me your name. And she said, my name's Asma. And I said, you're in. And she spoke after 6 years. She opened the Special Olympics in 2019. She spoke in front of 40,000 people.
Oh, wow. How incredible.
And then she was featured in Humans of New York. She's written a book. She's written a book on poems, which is going to be published. Now she's a motivational speaker.
Unbelievable. From somebody who didn't speak for 6 years. Incredible. What an accomplishment. That's brilliant. We need to get her on the podcast as well. We're looking forward to having Abdullah very soon on the podcast as well. He's also accomplished so much.
So much.
Must be so gratifying and satisfying for you to work with people and see the progress that they make and how much art has helped them to express who they are. It's absolutely fantastic.
Abdullah used to keep saying, when I finish with Mawab, I want to get a real job. I said, and what is a real job? He said, when I go to the post office and I put a stamp. And today he's really making a lot of money. And he even made a little canvas which said, art makes me rich. So he's understood that.
He understood that. That's his job. He's found his job and the thing he loves to do. That's the best job to have, right?
Exactly.
So you've accomplished so much. You've had so many accolades. What is the message that you would like to send through your work?
For me, I can't say I've done it all on my own. It's the tremendous support that I have of my husband, of my older daughter, Jinai, and my helper, Saraswati. When the lockdown happened, we were stuck in India for 4 months. Zara was here alone with my helper, while my husband and I had gone for my mother-in-law's funeral. We decided not to take her because we were going to return in 10 days.
Wow, 4 months.
4 months. And everyone was saying, I don't know how you're managing. What choice did I have? There was no way unless I decided to swim across. And I don't know how to swim, so that wasn't an option. So how else could I have come here? It was a fantastic realization for me because I just said, I'm not indispensable. If Zara can live without us for 4 months, she can live without us when you're not there. And that was so gratifying that, life will go on and Zara will be fine. There's no more fear that, what's going to happen after we die? Or, I don't think about that because I know that she will be taken care of.
Can I ask you, you have accomplished a lot. You've worked with some incredible people so far. What are some of your future goals? Do you have anything on the horizon that you're working on?
Right now, my future goals has always been to create an awareness. I always believe that the more we talk about it, the more we go to schools and it starts at ground level. We have to instill in children the importance of empathy. I know it's not my job to do it and it's the parents' job, but I feel responsible. I feel if we talk to children and we tell them that when you do something like this, it's rude, it's hurtful. When I take my students and they talk about it, when Asma shares her experience of being bullied, hopefully something gets into the head and they change. When I go to colleges and I talk to university students and I tell them that 100%, two, three of you are going to be parents of children with special needs. And at that time, I want you to remember, what was she saying? Don't give up on life. It's not the end of the road. This too shall pass. If you remember that, your life is not going to be so hard. Just to create an awareness.
Fantastic. Well, you've already done so much, and I'm sure you're going to continue on that. And we're looking forward to following your journey where you go next. So thank you for sharing all that and for those tips. It was fantastic to hear your story and some of the stories with some of your students that you've worked with. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I'd like to ask you a few rapid fire questions. So our version of a game show. Are you ready?
Yes.
I know you've traveled some. So what is your favorite vacation destination?
I think I just love being in Dubai.
Okay. Who's your favorite artist?
Loads of them. Yayoi Kusama, Basquiat. All these people, they all had mental illnesses. They didn't study art. They were just creating from within. So I think these are my favorite artists. I love Basquiat. I love the way he creates. I love Yayoi Kusama.
Canvas or drawing pads?
Drawing pads.
Paint or crayon?
Crayon.
If you could choose the subject to paint, realism or imaginary?
Imaginary, for sure.
And what is one thing you do every day, no matter how busy you are?
So the first thing when I wake up, I say to myself, I'm going to have an amazing day. And today is an amazing day. And that's how I wake up. Even if Zara's had a seizure that night and we've been awake with her and I have to wake up at 5:30, I still say that to myself. Today is an amazing day.
That's a good attitude to start the day with. I love it. Now, before we wrap up, we'd like to do our green pill moment. So for our segment called the Green Pill Moment or your Green Pill Moment, I'd like to ask you, what green pill advice would you give to your younger self?
When I was growing up, I just thought it was going to be a fairy tale. I'm going to get married. I met my husband 40 years ago when I was 18. It was an amazing love story. I was marrying the man I was going to, that I love. Got Janai, my older daughter. Everything was just so beautiful in my life. I did have this constant little tingling that maybe it's going to go, maybe it's not going to work. I would say if those thoughts come to your head, let them come, and let it go and just go with the flow. When I was younger, when I found out about Zara, the fear was I was scared about the unknown. Oh, she's not ever going to go to university and she's never going to get married. Those things don't even matter to me now. Just go with the flow and let it go.
So don't worry so much when you're younger. Rather just take things as they come to you.
As they come, yeah. And don't keep thinking about your future. The future will unfold itself. And there are going to be bumps. You are going to be in the valley some days and you are going to be on the mountaintop on another day. So when you're in the valley, tell yourself, okay, right now I'm down, but I'm not going to be here forever. I am going to reach the top one day. And then when you're on the top, you're going to come down. So just let it go. The only time your line will be stagnant in one is when you're dead. So otherwise, it's just going to be a valley and peak.
When you stop moving. Yeah, I love that. That's good advice. Very, very practical advice as well. Thank you so much for sharing your fantastic and inspiring story. I've really enjoyed this conversation and I'm so sure our audience is also going to really enjoy it. Before we say goodbye, could you please tell our listeners where they can find and follow you? And we'll also put this in the show notes.
So they can follow me on Facebook. I'm more a Facebook person than Instagram. I'm still trying to learn Instagram. But I do have an Instagram account. It's Gulshan.Kavarana, GULSHAN.KAVARANA. SFS is there on Facebook as well, and you can follow. And now I've started a new event company called Ray of Hope, where I'm going to do CSR events with people of determination. So they can follow us on Ray of Hope as well.
And that's also your handle, Ray of Hope is the handle on social media.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. Gulshan, it was lovely to have you. And I wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.